Now we are going to discuss equation of a circle. So let's say we have a circle here. The center is at 3, 1, and we would like to determine an equation of the circle. So for this circle, you may notice this here. That is, first let's determine the radius. Center is at 3, 1. And what is the radius? The radius is the distance of point from the center to any point on the circle. So for any point here, for calculation purpose of the radius, I chose a convenient point here on the y-axis because it would be easy to evaluate. I had meant the coordinates of this point on the y-axis are easy to read the way it's passing through. So the coordinates of this point on the circumference of a circle is 0, 5. And of course it has infinitely many points on its circumference. So the distance from the center to a point on the circumference is equal to the radius. Let's quickly evaluate what the radius is then. So if we compute this distance, this is positive square root of, the square root of the sum of differences between the x coordinate and y coordinates. All right. So it is 3 minus 0 square plus 1 minus 5 square. We'll take the square root and then. So what we see is here we have 3 square, then negative 4 square, and they add up to square root of 9. Then this is 16. Then we have positive square root of 25. So what happens is here, or what happens here is that 5 is the what? That's the radius of this circle. Okay. Now to find the equation or an equation, we know that the radius is 5. Now what we shall do is we shall take a typical point with coordinates x and y on this circle, and then recall that the radius is the distance of center to any point on the circle. So which will mean that this, one moment, that this distance is also how much? 5. And then just do a little algebra. That the distance between x, y and 3, 1 is 5. And if we square this equation, we get an equation of the circle in this form. X minus 3 square plus y minus 1 square equals 25. Now in general, say we have to write equation of a circle whose center is at hk, and the length of a radius is absolute value of r. So we'll take a typical point xy here and then use the fact that the radius is the distance of the center from any point on the circle, and use that statement or relation to form this equation. And when we square this equation, we get this general form of equation of a circle with center at hk, and if say r is a positive number, then the radius equals r. So now let us take an example in which we are given this equation of a circle and we have to determine the coordinates of the center and length of a radius. So what we would do is we shall look at this standard form of an equation, that the center is at hk and the radius is r. So let's compare this portion with this. What this gives us is that negative h is equal to 4, and that gives us h equals negative 4. Likewise, compare this portion with this. So what happens then is negative k equals negative 2, meaning that k equals 2. Okay. And then r square is 40. So again, r square is 40 means that the length of a radius is the positive square root of 40. And you can conclude that the center of the circle is negative 4, 2. And length of a radius is positive square root of 40. And now let's take up this situation in which we are given equation of a circle, and it will be a circle if the coefficients of x square and that of y square are identical. So what we are going to have to do is this: compare this equation with the standard equation, and which means that we are going to have to complete these squares here, right? So to complete these squares, so let's do this, that bring in this plus 6x here with x square, and we have y square with 10y. Now if we focus on this, we will take half of 6 and then square it. Half of 6 is 3, so square will be 9. So we will add a 9 here and add a 9 here to balance the equation. Okay, and now here half of 10 is 5, so we'll take 5 square, which is 25, and then to balance we will write a plus 25 here. Now look at this quantity. This factors as x plus 3 and becoming x plus 3 quantity square in this process, right? And then this will factor as y plus 5 times y plus 5 becomes the square of y plus 5. All right, and then here we got 2 plus 9 is 11, plus 25 is 36, or writing it in more standard form, what we see is that this equals 6 square here. Okay, so what this will become then is, if we compare it with the standard form, that the center of the circle is at -3, -5, and the length of a radius equals how much? Length of a radius equals 6 units. Okay, now let's go towards a little more general form. That is, remember this, if I said that if the coefficient of x square and the coefficient of y square is the same in this general equation, okay, then the equation gives us what? That gives us a circle. So say we have this equals one moment, okay, so here say we have this, and then minus, say we got 48y, and then that equals, say, quantity 8. So the first thing to do would be, in this case, I mean, you may do it differently if you would like. Let's go ahead and divide the entire equation by 4. Okay, so this is a 6, this is an 8, and this becomes a 2. Okay, and now we can proceed in the similar fashion as before. Okay, and then so this we will bring here with x square. Okay, and for the x's, if we want to complete a square here, we will have to add a 9. So we put a 9 here also to balance everything, right? Now in here, the half of -8 is -4, and -4 square is 16. So we will add a 16 here. So this quantity factors as x plus 3 times x plus 3. So this will be x plus 3 quantity squared, right? And then plus, this would be y, and here is 16, and the coefficient here is negative, and if you factor it, it will be square of y minus 4, and that equals how much? 11 plus 16 is 27, right? So we have the center at -3, 4, sorry, and the radius would be how much? The radius would be positive square root of 27. Okay.